What's up, guys? It's me, Spectrar here in another video in Wayward Frontier. I was recently talking to one of you guys, my viewers. They had a question about knowing how I knew when I was running low on power, and it led to questions about this side panel here. And so I want to take some time to talk about it. Right now I'm in the testing area of the game. If you do not know how to do that, here, I'll quickly show you. You select a design, you select a profile of a ship, and you come in here and test ship. That's where I'm at currently. So I come back in here. Now, in this area and in the main game, if you press and hold F1, there's a little bit of, I guess, tutorial, but more of like just teaching how buttons go. And so you initially see this. If you mouse over here, you can see about the weapon widget. If you mouse over here, you can see about these side things as well as you mouse over them. So I want to talk about them for a little bit, just to kind of help you guys better understand them. This tells you about it, but I'm hoping my explanation could maybe help you out even more. So this first section is all about information about the reactors, and the second one is all about information about the capacitors. Now, in this first section, these graphs right here tell you at what heat level your reactors are currently running at. So right now, my reactors are running at low. And before I go too much further, these numbers right here tell you how many reactors you have. So this top one is how many reactors you have total, whether they're damaged, operating, or not. This is how many reactors your ship is supposed to have. This bottom number is how many reactors are currently active and being used. And that doesn't mean are they distributing power, it's like how many reactors are currently operational on your ship. So if you take damage and you see a big explosion on your ship, rather than get out and go down and look around at your ship trying to see which reactor's gone, or if all your reactors are gone, you can come down to this number and say, okay, I've still got 1 out of 2. So I'm still somewhat operational, and you can kind of guess from there maybe which one's damaged and which part of your ship is no longer functioning. So this graph tells you, so right now both of my reactors are running at low heat. So if I start draining the energy from my ship, you can see how that moved up through the list. Now this highest point is red because it's running at its highest heat. Now that doesn't mean that the reactor is like going to explode or is malfunctioning or something. It's just saying your reactors are working a lot right now. So it's not like it's a bad thing that it's in the red zone, because your heat sinks are most likely distributing that heat, and so it's just fine. I'd be more worried if at a resting state with everything charged, if it was in the red, which I'll show you an example of in a minute. So as I move up, it slowly moves up that graph, and now it tells me that my reactors are working at full power, essentially, or as much as they possibly can. Let's exit this real quick and go into design, and let's disable one of my reactors, kind of. So we're going to take it, we're going to remove 3 of its heat sinks. It's running off of 6, a little overdoing it, but that's okay. We're going to take away 3. We're going to save that, go back into here, go back into test ship. And as you can see, let's wait for my capacitors to fill up. So at resting mode, I have 1 reactor, like we had before, working at low heat levels. But because we removed some heat sinks from the other one is still running, was still kind of running at a high heat, even though it wasn't distributing much power. And now that all the power is distributed throughout all my ship, it finally goes down and is at a lower heat level. So as we start moving, you'll notice that 1 reactor goes up to the next heat level very fast. And then as I fire, the other one slowly moves up that has more heat cooling. So I can kind of tell you how your reactors are doing. That's basically how this one works. It's not like super informative, but it can help you understand what your ship is doing rather than having to press F, get out, and go look around your ship and see what the heck is going on. Next, we're going to talk about the capacitor. Now, this has got 2 parts of it. You got your upper part, that's this kind of graph, and you got these bottom bars. We're going to talk about the bottom bars first. So if we press F1, we'll see the horizontal bars display an amount of capacitors by category. Leftmost represents capacitors with 75 to 100% charge, while the red one represents capacitors from 0 to 25% charge. So basically, what this graph is telling me right now is that all of my capacitors are 75 to 100% full. Now, as they're used, you'll see these other graphs start to gain color, and this one lose color, telling me that some of my capacitors are starting to lose charge. And then in the red, they're almost completely, if not 100% out of charge. So as we start to use up power, you'll notice those bars slowly kind of changing. So my capacitors starting to lose charge more than others, but I still have some that are like, you know, how I still have high capacity, until at one point everything is going to be in the red. But it takes a minute for the ship because the ship has a lot of energy. So as you can see, more and more is going to the red, and you can see that graph going down. We'll talk about the graph here in a second. And it's slowly, we're kind of starting to lose more and more of everything, and then all of a sudden, pretty much everything is in the red. So that's how that kind of works. We're going to wait a second here and let our capacitors fill back up. But essentially what this graph is telling you is it's what your, let's actually see what it says. Graph shows overall charge level of capacitors over the last 10 seconds. That's a pretty good way to describe it, but I'm going to describe it a little bit further. So the furthest rightmost point, essentially the one that has the big, long, colored bar, or I guess white bar, is what's happening right now, is what you can say that is what your capacity is at the current moment. And then, so you have reference, it continues on this graph over the last 10 seconds, so you can kind of see, oh my gosh, my capacity is really low, look back at the graph, oh, it really jumped off at this point because I was doing this and this. So, as you can see, as we move along, start using some energy, that graph slowly starts to dip down, and you can kind of see how my energy is not going away super fast, but it's kind of gradual, and then it kind of flattens out, and then my energy starts to kind of creep back up, and then it gets to that point, and my capacity is pretty much full at that point. Maybe not 100%, but pretty much full. So you can kind of see what your energy is doing and how you're using it. In my video about my favorite ship, it's very important to watch this to see how your energy is doing as you're moving around fighting, because you may get to a point where, hey, I'm moving, I'm using everything, I'm using my engines, I'm using my side thrusters, I'm losing energy fast, I'm not killing this ship fast enough. Okay, I'm going to take my hands off of the engines and try to just fight with this, and you may notice that your energy graph kind of levels out, as mine just did. You notice that mine kind of leveled out at the midway point, rather than going all the way to dead, so that way I'm not losing energy to other systems in the ship, and then maybe as things go I can take a break, fly off, and my energy kind of starts to rise a little bit, which is good. And then after you're done, obviously stop and your energy will completely fill up. But that is essentially how this menu works. I feel like there is still a few things that could be refined to make this a little more useful. I honestly don't know what it is yet. It's one of those things where I look at it, I'm like, I need something, but I just can't tell what it is. And maybe when I figure out what I feel like it needs, maybe I'll do a what if video about it. But for now, I still feel like it's pretty useful, especially the capacitors part. Reactor's a little less useful for me. I don't use it a lot, but you may find it extremely useful. But that is essentially how the side menu works, and I hope that helps you out. If you have something else that you would like explained in the game, please leave it in the comment section below. I'd love to help you guys out and explain stuff if I have knowledge about it, which I may or may not. You never know. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. See ya!